Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use dotnet directly in Magic XPA. Now the first thing you need to do is to define the dotnet assemblies that you want to use in Magic, and you do that in the composite resource repository. So let's open it by clicking here on CRR, and we're going to press F4 and create a new line, and we'll set the type to dotnet. In the name column, you can zoom, so we'll press F5, and you'll see a list of all of the assemblies that you have on your computer. You can also use the Browse tab here to load a custom assembly that's not registered on the machine. We're going to use an existing one called System Windows Forms Assembly. So we'll need to go back here to the dotnet tab. And that's the assembly that we need to define in order to use dotnet controls on the form. So I'll press here S and just scroll down until I find the assembly. You'll see here that I have version 2 and version 4 on my computer, and I'll select the System Windows Forms assembly from version 4. And that's it. The assembly is now ready for you to use in Magic XPA. Now here's the next step. So to use the dotnet controls, you need to define the object type that you're going to use. And you can do this in a dotnet control model in Magic or in a dotnet variable in a program. And we're going to do that in a model. So in the model repository, we're going to create a new model. So let's name it Net Calendar Model. And then you want to select here in the class column either GUI display or rich client display. And I'll select GUI display since we want to use this in an online program. And then we'll set here the attribute to dotnet. Now in the dotnet control properties, you go here to the object type property, and we want to use the month calendar control, which is defined in the System Windows Forms assembly that we just defined earlier. So here you can just start typing in the first letters, and you'll see Magic's autocomplete feature start to work. If you can't remember the first letter or you want to see all of the options, just press Control and space, and this drop-down list will open. You can use this anytime you want to open up the list with the available options. So select System by either clicking on it or pressing Enter, and then we'll type in a dot and type the letter W and then I, and you'll see Windows and select that. We'll just type in a dot, and the one option that you'll see here is Forms, so click on that. And the last item that you want to find is the month calendar that we mentioned. So type a dot and then start typing in M and then O, and we'll select month calendar here. So now we have the whole option that we need, System Windows Forms Month Calendar. Now since dotnet controls have many properties and many events, we also want to define which dotnet property will get the variable and which dotnet event is a trigger for setting the variable value with the dotnet property value. In this way, we can bind the dotnet property to a Magic variable, which we'll define in our program. So we'll do that here in the dotnet binding declaration section, where we'll define two properties. The first property here is the value property name, and the value of this property is a dotnet property to which the Magic variable will be bound. Now binding means that any change in the Magic variable will be automatically set to this property, and any change in this dotnet property that's done by the dotnet control will be automatically done also to the Magic variable. And in this sample, we'll bind the selection start dotnet property of the calendar. In the value property name property, just go ahead and press Control and space, and a drop-down list will open. We want to select selection start. So this is the dotnet property that will get the value from the Magic date variable. Now the second property is the value changed event name property. The value of this property is a dotnet event that is raised by the dotnet control. And Magic will automatically update the Magic variable with the property that we defined in the previous step. So in this property, we want to select date changed. This binding that we just set up is optional, but it's a good thing to do since it lets us define a Magic variable that will automatically be updated with the value of this property. And that's it. The model with the month calendar declaration is ready for use. Now let's go ahead and use this model in a Magic program. So we'll create a new program and name it Net Control. And we'll press F5 and the properties come up. And you can use the dotnet controls for online and rich client programs, but let's leave it here as online. And in the data view editor, we're going to define a date variable. Let's call it my date. And you'll use this to set and get the value from the dotnet control. In this video, we're using a virtual variable, but it can also be a variable from a data source. Now we're going to go to the form of the program and drag a dotnet control here onto the form. And now in the model property here, we're going to zoom and select the dotnet model that you just created. Now when we zoom here, we'll see all the dotnet models that we defined that have the same task type as the program. So since we're in an online program here, we see the dotnet models that were defined with a GUI display class, and we have one over here. So we're going to select the net calendar model. And in the data property, we're going to add the date variable to this control. To see that it's working, we'll also show the variable content on the form. So we'll just add an edit control here and set the variable as the expression of this control. And this will show the date variable's value. And that's it. Now you're finished defining a dotnet control. You can now press F7 to run the new program and see the dotnet calendar control on your program. You can click here on the different days or click the arrow here to move between the months and see that the magic date variable that's displayed here is automatically updated based on the dotnet control's value. And we see it changes here when we click up here. And you can also write logic that will update the magic date variable, and you'll see that the dotnet control is updated accordingly. So for example, let's define a default value for the date variable. So we'll zoom in again here to the program and set an init value for the date variable. We'll use the date function to get the current date. Now let's run the program again, and you'll see that the selected value in the dotnet control is the current date. In Magic XPA, you can find many more examples of how to use dotnet. Just go to the recent projects screen and you'll see the dotnet tutorial and the dotnet third-party samples projects. Thanks, and join us again soon for some more magic.